the fall before the rise. She never imagined she would return to her hometown with her life packed into 2 suitcases and a heart that felt heavier than both combined. The night before she left the city, Layla Morgan stood alone on the balcony of the apartment she had once believed would be her forever home. Below her, the city lights shimmered like a promise that had already been broken. Inside, the apartment was silent, too silent for a place that had once echoed with laughter, shared dreams, and future plans spoken in whispers before sleep. 3 hours earlier, she had discovered the truth. Not through rumors. Not through suspicion. But through humiliation. It had been her idea to surprise him. A celebration dinner for his promotion. She had even worn the dress he once said made her look successful enough to stand beside him. She found him at the restaurant, laughing, relaxed, confident. With another woman. A woman who wore wealth like armor. A woman who spoke her name as if Layla were a minor inconvenience. She's just temporary, he had said when caught. Temporary. 4 years of emotional labor. 4 years of supporting his ambitions. 4 years of being told to be quieter, softer, more refined. Temporary. That word followed Layla all the way home. Now, standing on the balcony, the cold night air pressed against her skin as if reminding her she had nowhere left to belong. Her career in graphic design had stalled after months of being underpaid and overlooked. Her relationship had collapsed publicly. Her confidence had been stripped piece by piece until even looking at her reflection felt exhausting. So when her phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number, she almost ignored it. Layla. It's Elias Whitmore. Your mother's neighbor. I heard what happened. You can come home. Home. The word hurt more than it healed. Havenbrook was a small coastal town she had spent years trying to escape. A place where people remembered you as who you used to be, and rarely believed you could become anything more. Returning felt like admitting failure. But failure had already claimed her. 2 days later, Layla drove into Havenbrook beneath a sky heavy with clouds, her old sedan rattling as if protesting the decision. The town hadn't changed. The same narrow streets. The same cafes filled with people who measured success by familiarity, not growth. The moment she stepped into the local diner to grab coffee, she felt it. The looks. Curiosity. Judgment. Recognition. That's Layla Morgan, someone whispered. Didn't she move to the city to be someone? I heard she came back alone. The barista handed her coffee with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. Back for good? The woman asked. Layla forced a smile. Just for now. The truth was she had nowhere else to go. Her mother's old house had been sold years ago. The few friends she once had here had built lives that didn't include space for someone starting over. Every door felt politely closed. By evening, she found herself sitting on the hood of her car near the harbor, watching the waves crash with relentless certainty. She wondered if this was how the rest of her life would look, watching others move forward while she stood still. That was when Elias Whitmore appeared. He was older than she remembered, silver now threading through his dark hair, his posture still straight, his presence calm but commanding. He had always been quiet, the kind of man people underestimated because he never spoke loudly. I'm glad you came, he said gently. I didn't have many options, Layla replied honestly. Elias nodded. Sometimes life removes every option except the one that rebuilds you. She didn't understand what he meant. Not yet. He drove her along the coastline, past the familiar streets, then beyond them, toward the cliffs overlooking the sea. When the car stopped in front of a sleek, modern building rising against the horizon, Layla frowned. This isn't Havenbrook, she said. It is, Elias replied. Just the part people don't talk about. The elevator ride was silent. The doors opened to reveal something Layla never expected to see in her hometown. A penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Natural light flooding every corner. Art on the walls that spoke of vision, not decoration. A terrace that looked like it touched the sky. Layla stood frozen. I think you're mistaken, she said quietly. I can't afford anything like this. Elias smiled, not with pride but with understanding. You're not here to afford it, he said. You're here to stay. Her breath caught. Why? He met her gaze steadily. Because people forget who you are when you're quiet, Elias said. But I haven't. Layla didn't know then that Elias Whitmore was one of the most influential private investors on the coast. She didn't know that this penthouse was worth more than everything she had ever owned combined. And she certainly didn't know that the town that once dismissed her was about to witness a reversal they would never forget. All she knew was this. She had returned broken. And somehow she had arrived somewhere powerful. The town that never forgot how to judge. Layla woke the next morning to silence so complete it felt unreal. No traffic horns. No neighbors arguing through thin apartment walls. No city hum vibrating through concrete. Only the distant sound of waves meeting stone. For a brief moment she thought she was dreaming, until sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling windows, warming her skin, illuminating a space so elegant and calm it almost intimidated her. She sat up slowly. The penthouse was real. The memory of the previous night returned in fragments. Elias's quiet voice, the elevator ride, the view that stole her breath, the way exhaustion had finally pulled her into sleep on crisp white sheets that smelled faintly of sea salt. Layla rose and padded toward the windows. Havenbrook stretched below her like a painting, small, neat, familiar. From up here the town looked peaceful. Almost kind. She knew better. Down there, people still remembered her as the girl who left to chase city dreams. The one who thought she was better than everyone else. The one who had returned alone without success to show for it. The girl who failed. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Elias stood in the doorway, already dressed, composed as always. He held 2 cups of coffee. "Breakfast is simple," he said. "But the view usually makes up for it." Layla accepted the cup, her hands trembling slightly. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "This feels unreal." Elias studied her carefully. "You don't owe me gratitude. You owe yourself rest." They sat on the terrace, the ocean stretching endlessly before them. "People in this town," Elias said calmly, "tend to decide who you are long before they know you." Layla laughed bitterly. "They already have." "Yes," he replied. "And that's exactly why you shouldn't rush to correct them." She frowned. "You're telling me to let them think the worst?" "I'm telling you to let them reveal themselves first." Later that morning, Layla ventured into town alone. She dressed simply, jeans, a soft sweater, no makeup beyond what made her feel human again. She wanted to disappear into familiarity. She wanted to breathe without being seen. She failed at both. At the grocery store, conversations paused when she entered. Someone glanced at her shoes. Someone whispered behind their hand. Someone smiled with pity rather than kindness. At the checkout, the cashier, a woman Layla once went to school with, raised an eyebrow. "So," she said lightly, "back for good this time?" Layla swallowed. "I'm staying for now." The woman scanned her items slowly. City didn't work out? The question wasn't curiosity. It was satisfaction. Layla felt heat crawl up her neck. "Life happens." The cashier replied. "It usually does." Outside, Layla sat in her car for several minutes, staring at the steering wheel as if grounding herself. She had forgotten how exhausting it was to be underestimated openly. That afternoon she stopped by the old art supply shop near the marina, a place she used to love before she left. The bell above the door chimed softly. The owner looked up and squinted. "Well, I'll be," he said. "Layla Morgan." She smiled politely. "Hi, Mr. Turner." He looked her up and down. "Didn't expect to see you back here. Thought you were making logos for millionaires or something." Layla hesitated. "Something like that." He chuckled. "Got any money left, or are you just browsing for nostalgia?" Her smile faded. "I'll just look," she said quietly. As she ran her fingers over sketchpads and brushes, something inside her stirred, something she had buried under survival and compromise. Creativity didn't disappear just because confidence did. When she brought a few items to the counter, Mr. Turner sighed. "You know," he said, "this stuff isn't cheap. I can give you a discount on the student-grade materials." Layla met his eyes. "I can afford these," she said calmly. He shrugged, unconvinced. Outside, the ocean breeze cooled her face, but the sting lingered. That evening, Elias returned late. She was sketching at the dining table when he entered, loosening his tie. "You went into town?" he said. "I did." "And?" She looked up. "They haven't changed." Elias nodded. "They rarely do." She hesitated. "Why help me like this?" He paused, considering. "Because," he said slowly, "I've watched this town underestimate people for decades. And I've learned something important." "What?" "The quiet ones always surprise them." The next morning, Layla overheard whispers in the cafe. "Did you hear Layla staying up by the cliffs?" "No way, those places are expensive." "I heard she's crashing with someone." "Figures." By noon, speculation had grown teeth. At the marina, 2 women spoke loudly enough for her to hear. Probably some pity arrangement. Or worse. Layla walked past them with her shoulders back, her heart pounding. What they didn't know, what they couldn't imagine, was that the penthouse she returned to each night wasn't borrowed. It was offered. And Elias Whitmore wasn't a savior. He was a witness. That afternoon, a delivery truck arrived at the building. Layla watched from the terrace as crates were unloaded. Art supplies, canvases, lighting equipment. "What's all this?" she asked. Elias smiled faintly. "You said you needed space to think." She stared at him. "This is too much." "No," he replied. "This is preparation." "For what?" "For the moment you remember who you are." That night, Layla stood alone on the terrace, sketchpad in hand, the town glowing beneath her. They thought she had returned defeated. They thought she was temporary. They thought she was small. They had no idea how close they were to being proven wrong. When silence becomes power. The first time Layla realized the town was watching her closely, it wasn't through words. It was through behavior. The way conversations stopped when she entered a room. The way smiles tightened, polite but strained. The way curiosity had shifted into something sharper, suspicion. Rumors moved faster in Havenbrook than tides. By the third week, everyone knew she was staying up by the cliffs. No one knew how. No one dared ask Elias Whitmore directly. And Layla wasn't correcting anyone. She spent her days creating. The penthouse had become a sanctuary, not because of luxury but because of silence. She worked at sunrise, her sketches evolving into full designs. Visual stories. Campaign concepts. Brand identities. Not for clients, yet, but for herself. For the first time in years, no one told her to tone it down. No one said, "That's too bold." No one said, "Let's make it safer." No one said, "You're asking for too much." Elias never hovered. He never critiqued. He simply made space. "You don't need permission," he told her once when she hesitated before starting a large canvas. "You never did." But outside the penthouse, the town was tightening its grip. It began at the local business association meeting, an event Layla didn't even plan to attend. She was walking past the community hall when she heard her name. "Can't just let outsiders come back and take opportunities," a man said. She left. That was her choice, another voice added. Now she's back expecting sympathy? Layla stopped. Inside, the meeting was full, shop owners, town officials, familiar faces. People who once smiled at her mother. People who now spoke as if Layla were a cautionary tale. She stepped in quietly. No one noticed her at first. "We should prioritize locals who stayed," someone said. "Yes, loyalty matters," another agreed. Layla's chest tightened. Then someone laughed. "Not everyone can handle the real world. Some people come back when they realize they're not special." Layla took a breath. And spoke. "I'm right here." The room froze. Dozens of eyes turned toward her. Some widened in shock. Some narrowed in irritation. Some filled with poorly hidden satisfaction. "I wasn't aware my life was an agenda item," Layla continued, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. A man near the front scoffed. "Relax. We're just talking about priorities." "About me," she corrected. Silence followed. A woman stood. "Layla, no one means harm. But resources here are limited. We can't just." "Just what?" Layla asked. "Assume I'm taking something that isn't mine?" The woman flushed. "We're saying Havenbrook rewards commitment." Layla nodded slowly. "Then why does it punish people for trying to grow?" No one answered. She didn't stay long after that. She didn't need to. The message had landed. By evening the story had spread, but not the way Layla expected. She spoke up. She wasn't apologetic. She didn't beg. For the first time, the town couldn't agree on who she was supposed to be. The following week, the local marina announced a rebranding initiative, a campaign meant to attract tourism. Posters went up. A notice appeared in the town bulletin. Call for design proposals. Local creatives encouraged to apply. Layla stared at the flyer for a long time. Her instinct screamed no. Havenbrook had never chosen her before. Why would it now? That night, Elias found her staring at the ocean, arms crossed tightly. "You're thinking too much," he said. "They don't want me," she replied. "They don't know what they want," Elias corrected. "They just know what they're used to." She hesitated. "If I submit something, they'll judge me before they judge the work." "Good," he said. "Let them." She looked at him. "You sound very confident." Elias smiled faintly. "I've seen what you do when you stop shrinking." So Layla submitted her proposal. No name recognition. No explanation. Just the work. A bold, emotionally driven campaign centered on community, resilience, and rebirth. Visuals inspired by Havenbrook's past, but reimagined for its future. When the review committee met, Layla wasn't present. She didn't need to be. This one feels different, someone said. It's powerful, another admitted. It doesn't look like anything else we've seen. The room agreed. They voted unanimously. Only after did they ask who created it. The silence that followed was not kind. Layla Morgan? The same Layla? She's capable of this? The meeting ended awkwardly. By the next morning, Layla received the email. We'd like to discuss moving forward. She read it twice, then a third time. Then she laughed, once sharply before sitting down and letting the weight of it settle. That afternoon, as she walked through town, something had changed. People looked at her differently. Not kindly, not warmly, but carefully. The woman at the cafe hesitated before making her usual comment. The cashier at the grocery store didn't ask questions. Respect hadn't arrived yet, but doubt had. And doubt was the beginning of power. That evening, Elias poured 2 glasses of wine. You didn't tell them your story, he said. No, Layla replied. I let the work speak. He raised his glass. That's how it always should have been. Layla stepped onto the terrace, looking down at the town that once dismissed her. They weren't applauding yet. They weren't apologizing. But they were paying attention. And soon, attention would turn into reckoning. The reveal they never saw coming. The invitation arrived on thick, cream-colored paper. Havenbrook Marina Relaunch Gala. Official campaign reveal. Layla held it between her fingers, her pulse slow but steady. They hadn't put her name on the front. Not yet. That alone told her everything. The town wanted her work, but still wasn't ready to fully acknowledge her. Elias noticed the invitation on the counter when he came in that evening. They chose you, he said calmly. They chose the campaign, Layla replied. Not me. They'll have to choose both, Elias said. Sooner than they think. The night of the gala arrived wrapped in ocean mist and expectation. Havenbrook had never seen anything like it. The marina glowed with soft lighting, elegant displays, and banners showcasing Layla's designs, her visuals towering over familiar streets, reimagined with dignity and ambition. People stopped in their tracks, whispering as they took it in. This feels bigger, someone murmured. Like we matter, another said. Layla arrived quietly. She wore a simple black dress, clean lines, nothing flashy. Her posture was straight, her expression composed. But heads turned. The same people who once pitied her now studied her with unease. She's here. Is that her? She did this. At the center of the event stood the town council chair, microphone in hand. Tonight, he announced, we celebrate a new chapter for Havenbrook. Applause echoed. And we thank the creative mind behind this powerful vision. He paused. We invite the designer to join us on stage. A hush fell. Layla stepped forward. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That's Layla Morgan. No way. She made this. Her heels clicked softly as she climbed the steps, every movement deliberate. She took the microphone, not nervously, not triumphantly, but with calm authority. Thank you, she said, for giving the work a chance. Her gaze moved across the crowd, past the skeptics, past the whisperers, past the ones who once made her feel small. This campaign, she continued, is about honoring where we come from without being trapped by it. Silence followed. She didn't mention rejection. She didn't mention humiliation. She didn't need to. Then Elias stepped forward. The shift was immediate. People straightened. Conversation stopped. Because now they recognized him. Elias Whitmore. The man whose investments had quietly revitalized half the coastline. The man whose name opened doors far beyond Havenbrook. I'd like to add something, Elias said. He took the microphone gently from Layla. I funded this relaunch because I believe in this town, he said. But I approve this campaign because I believe in her. Murmurs swept through the crowd. I've watched Layla work, Elias continued. I've watched her be underestimated, dismissed, reduced. He looked directly at the council chair. And I've watched her respond not with bitterness, but with excellence. The room shifted. People who once avoided her now looked uncomfortable. Let me be clear, Elias said evenly. Layla is not staying in my penthouse because she needs help. Gasp. She's there because I offered her a partnership. The word landed like thunder. Layla Morgan is leading creative direction for 3 regional initiatives launching next quarter. This marina is only the beginning. Layla felt the weight of it then, not pride but validation. The applause came slowly at first, then louder. then unstoppable. People stood. Not because they wanted to, because they had to. Afterward, conversations changed tone. We never realized. She's incredible. You must be so proud. Layla smiled politely. But she remembered everything. Outside, under the soft glow of marina lights, someone approached her. Her ex. His face tightened when he saw her. Layla, he said. You look, well. She met his gaze without flinching. So do you. I didn't know you were capable of all this, he admitted. She tilted her head. That was never my problem. For the first time he had nothing to say. As the night wound down, Layla stood on the edge of the dock, the sea reflecting lights like constellations. They finally see you, Elias said beside her. They see what I do, she replied. That's enough. He nodded. The rest will follow. Behind them, Havenbrook buzzed with realization. They had judged too quickly. They had assumed too little. And now they had to live with it. She didn't rise above them. She rose beyond them. The morning after the gala, Havenbrook woke up different. Not louder. Not richer. Just quieter in a way that meant people were thinking. Layla felt it when she walked through town for the first time without bracing herself. The cafe door opened and no one whispered. The barista smiled, this time without pity. A woman stepped aside to let her pass, nodding respectfully. Good morning, Layla. Her name no longer sounded like a question. But respect, Layla knew, wasn't proven in greetings. It was proven in behavior. She didn't linger. She had work to do. Back at the penthouse, sunlight flooded the living space as Layla reviewed emails pouring in, collaboration requests, meeting invitations, messages from creatives who had followed her work quietly for years. She felt the weight of possibility again, but this time it didn't scare her. Elias watched her from across the room. You're not overwhelmed, he observed. She smiled faintly. I'm finally aligned. Later that afternoon, the town council requested a private meeting. Layla almost declined. Almost. The conference room felt smaller than she remembered. The same faces sat around the table, the ones who once spoke about her as if she weren't human. Layla, the chair began carefully, we owe you an apology. She waited. We judged too quickly. We made assumptions. She nodded once. You did. Another member cleared his throat. We'd like to offer you a permanent leadership role, creative director for all future town initiatives. Layla folded her hands calmly. I appreciate the offer, she said. The room leaned forward. But I won't accept it. Shock rippled through them. You don't want to work with Havenbrook? Someone asked. Layla met their eyes, calm, grounded, unafraid. I do, she said. But not like that. She stood. I'm open to partnerships. Equal ones. Not positions built on belated approval. Silence. Then, slowly, understanding. Outside, the ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and something new, freedom. That evening, Layla packed her things. Elias watched quietly. You're leaving, he said. I am, she replied. But not because I'm running. She paused, meeting his gaze. I'm choosing. They stood on the terrace one last time, the town glowing beneath them. I needed this place to remember who I was, Layla said. But I don't need to stay to prove it. Elias nodded. You were never meant to stay small. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a contract, global scope, full creative control. She didn't hesitate. When Layla drove out of Havenbrook at dawn, she didn't look back with regret. She looked forward with clarity. Weeks later, her work launched internationally. The Marina campaign went viral. Her story traveled farther than she ever had. And Havenbrook learned a lesson it wouldn't forget. Not every return is a retreat. Not every quiet person is weak. And not everyone who leaves comes back defeated. Some come back only long enough to rise.